All right, so I know I've already taken care of 4 weeks just with my exams, and really in any good teaching, the assessment itself is another opportunity for students to learn and to solidify their learning. So I've got 5 weeks now to get to my assessments, to teach the students the skills they need. So if I look back at my curriculum, I want to figure out now what texts I'm going to be using. Okay, so I already went through the core assessments. So I see these suggested texts, and I can see that these are children's books, and this is a novel. Okay, so I can see that those are the things, what I should be teaching, that I'm going to need to divide out between 5 weeks. I'll be doing vocabulary during that as well. Okay. And then down here we have kind of our teaching activities. So I'm going to take that. I know I need to do children's books. So I'm going to start with that. Probably the first week, maybe the second, but for now I'm just going to put. And the novel's definitely going to take more than. The rest, the children's books. Okay. And then I know before, when I start a unit, that it's really important that students learn these terms from the unit plan. Historical fiction, characterization, that's all the stuff they're going to be assessed on. So in that first week, I'm just going to put always, it should be like I do, teacher does, we do it together to practice, and then you do is kind of this assessment at the end. So I'm going to say teacher models and whole group, children's books, and terms, concepts. Okay, so I'll remember that that means that I'm going over these main concepts, the enduring understandings, in that first week with the students. I'm going to model it with a book or two, and then they'll do it as a whole group, and we'll kind of see how it's going. But I'll get into the daily part of this later on. Right now we're just trying to figure out when we're going to teach everything. So then we have Esperanza Rising for 4 weeks, and we're just going to continue analysis of characterization, theme, point of view. And I know from my unit plan, I know from my objectives, if I'm looking back at those, I look through my guided reading objectives, that characterization, theme are important for students to learn while we're practicing. So I've basically gone through now the weekly plans. I'm just going to put continue, analysis with less teacher support. With the novel, those 4 weeks. And then, of course, this is a good time to make sure you have the resources you need. Do I have Esperanza Rising, the novel? Do I have those children books? My drive. So I'm in my BECA shared folder. Now I'm thinking in my head, do I have the reading materials in the curriculum or not? Do I need to find it? And I might look at Esperanza Rising, and I might look at some of the reading materials and decide it's not appropriate, it's too hard, it's too easy, and change the title. That's fine. Just make sure you make note of that to your mentor and in your partial reports, which we'll get to at the end of this. So in the BECA shared folder, I go to curriculum. I'm in 6th grade, ELA. This document is the one we've been looking at. And then it says 6.1, 6.2, 6.3. These are folders for each unit. So I'm going to look in 6.2. I can see I have one children's book in there. And I actually have Esperanza Rising in there. Great! That's so great that they're in there. I can kind of preview them, make sure they're appropriate, and then I have them good to go. That might not be the case for every unit, so make sure you check those when you are planning as part of your plan. Okay? All right. And I will get into the weeds of like how many pages per week for Esperanza Rising later, but I know so far I have everything I need to teach and when I need to teach it in my kind of map of the unit, weekly map of the unit. So that's awesome. There are certain things in the ELA curriculum that happen every time, every unit, and that's independent reading and working with words and then these grammar concepts. So I just want to put that in my plan. So I'm going to put independent reading. Kids are going to be doing that daily at the start of every class. We know they have homework with that because the curriculum spells that out. I'm going to put working, I put W, working with words, mini lessons. That's going to happen every day in class. So I'm just going to make sure I put that in my plans so I don't forget it. It's kind of an important part of class. Sometimes my mini lessons will have to do with working with words. Sometimes they won't, depending on when we break it down by the daily lessons. But that's just a great way to start our class every day. Teacher does a read aloud, and students independently read, and then they just share a little bit about what they read just to start the class each day. There's lots of information about that in the curriculum. And then we're going to make sure that we don't forget to do our working with words mini lessons. And then whatever the grammar mini lessons are, when we do our writing, we want to make sure that we're checking for those concepts in their writing. And then we made sure, instead of grammar, let's put working with words for that. Okay, so we have everything kind of spelled out. If I wanted to get more specific, I could put indefinite, definite articles, demonstrative determiners, other determiners. I would probably start putting that in. So maybe I'd start with indefinite article, definite article, demonstrative determiners, other determiners. Go back to my curriculum, have all of those writing concepts, and then for my grammar, I can put the suffixes and the prefixes that we're going to be working with. And I knew I had EM. So I just then kind of planned out everything we're going to need for working with words. So that's awesome. And then I'd probably just do review these last 2 weeks before the exam. And like maybe have a little mini assessment before the partial exam. So I've got everything spelled out here for our 9 weeks. And then I just want to go back and check my curriculum. So what I would do is just read through the objectives and make sure that all the objectives are covered. I noticed that I forgot to talk about reading buddies. We'll just say we're going to plan to do that every 2 weeks. And then I just go back and do another double check, reading through all my objectives, making sure that I haven't forgotten anything. Reading back through the unit, making sure that I'm understanding all the things that we need to cover in the unit and that I have them in my plan. Looks good. So I'm happy with this SketchUp of my first, or the 9 weeks of that unit. So I go back and I think we covered what am I going to teach. We read through the curriculum. When am I going to teach it? You make your weekly plan. How am I going to teach it? And again, some of this is laid out in the curriculum, and some of it you're going to have to like look on the internet, ask friends, use what you learned in the training to help you figure out daily how you're going to teach what you need to teach. And so I'm not going to go through that for each week, but what you would do then to figure out how you're going to teach it is just take this first week and turn it into 5 days. Okay, so you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay? And then it's really good. So now we're thinking, how am I going to teach this lesson? And when you're thinking through that, you can look in your curriculum. There's lots of helpful things. In each unit plan, it talks about you need to do pre-reading activities to build background. How are you going to read it? Are you going to independently read it, partner, group, whole class? And then in the curriculum, if there's a little asterisk, you know that at the end of each grade's ELA curriculum, you have additional curriculum support and suggestions. So, okay, I'm going to be reading a children's book, and I'm going to read The Other Side by Jacqueline Woodsong because I have it in my curriculum, right there in the Google Drive. So I'm going to put, I already forgot what it was called, but I know the name of the book. And then if I look through my curriculum, for pre-reading, there's a whole group of activities I could use. So I'm going to read through the book, figure out what pre-reading strategy I want to do, figure out what during reading strategy, they're all listed here, and then some ideas for post-reading. Okay, and that can be real informal because I want to get through that in one day. Okay, so that's one place I can go to figure out how I'm going to teach it, is the additional curriculum support and suggestions at the end of the curriculum. I could also just go onto Google, do a search, and figure out what how I want to teach that concept. Okay, so then I would just fill out every day this week. I need to think through how I'm going to teach what I spelled out in this plan that I'm going to teach. Okay, and I just want you to remember it's really important. So you're going to do this is just a routine to do your independent reading to begin with. This should be routine by the second unit. We're going to figure out how I'm going to teach indefinite articles to students on Monday. We have a whole week to do that, so we could just do a quick little 5-minute mini lesson every day about that topic. Maybe on Friday I'll decide to do a little kind of quiz on independent articles. But this is the chunk of my lesson, teacher models, the terms and concepts. And then I just need to plug in which day of the week we're going to do reading buddies. So this is the main thing of figuring out how I'm going to teach that. So you use your curriculum and use the internet to figure that out. Okay? And then finally, how will I know I've taught it? And that's going to be through your assessments at the end of each unit. You're going to be trying to save assessments so that you can share them with the next year's teacher and talk with your mentor, and through your partial reports at the end of each partial, you'll reflect on if you've taught it or not, which students have gained the concepts and which still need help. So just a little review. What am I going to teach you? Read your curriculum. I suggest doing something active while you're reading, like